Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have Jon Sayah, CEO of Saylite. But before we get to him, we got to tell you that I forgot my hat, so you got to look at my bald head. But this is brought to you by the Distributors Association in the lighting business. That's the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. And like Mark Verheyen said yesterday, it's times of crisis when these associations really come through and show their true stuff. And so we're bringing you the information daily on how COVID-19 is affecting the lighting business through its leaders. One of those leaders is available for us right now. Hey, Jon, what's happening?
Hello. I'm glad to get on today before my hair gets any worse and I can't do it live.
So, welcome. I think Greg's going to kick us off here, Greg.
Yeah, one thing you can, if you're watching these, you can see Mike's beard grow every day as we do this. It's kind of fun. I'm seeing it every day, something new. So,
well, I'm not shaving this or this until the crisis is over, bro.
Ooh, you're gonna look good. You're gonna look good. All right. Well, Jon, let's start it off. So, a little bit about your company. You guys were formerly Texas Fluorescent, now Saylite. And do you do all of your manufacturing in Texas?
We have two facilities. Our group includes a company, Moburn, in Baltimore. So we have a facility in Baltimore. We have our facility here in Dallas that we manufacture. We have about 250 people here. We manufacture and assemble. We do supplement our interior product line, which is mainly what we manufacture here, with outdoor products that we source from other places. But about 80% of what we sell, we manufacture in Dallas or Baltimore.
And I assume some of the supply chain you get from various sources. Do you get anything from China?
We do get, again, a lot of outdoor we get from China. We get some LED discs. We have a fairly broad product line. And so what our primary business is doing complete jobs. And so we try to supplement, our core product line, our interior products that we manufacture with products that we do source both from China, some domestically, and some from Mexico and Latin America.
Is Texas that stay-at-home order? Do they have that right now?
We do have a stay-at-home order, but like many of the people that you've had on, we're an essential business, so we do have a full crew divided into different shifts up and working, and with most of our office people working remotely.
I would think Texas would be one of the last to put that out there. What date do they do that?
No, we did it about 2 weeks ago in Dallas. The state just actually did it, so you're right about that. But Dallas did it fairly early in the process.
Very good. So have you seen any delays with this whole deal going on, this crisis? Have you seen delays in your manufacturing process?
We have struggled a little bit with the split shifts. We are a company that has, one of our strengths has been that we've been very hands-on, very flexible. One of the things that we like is you call us and we can move your order up. Our customer service people, we like them to go out into the factory and say, can you make this? Can you do this? That's what sets us apart a little bit from having a fixed schedule. I go out there, our management group goes out there. And so by dividing up the group into two smaller groups, we've struggled with that hands-on approach of having silos. So our fabrication department is not going to our assembly department, is not going to our shipping department. So we definitely are having a learning curve that, is improving every day, but certainly we're not at 100% today.
There's been an argument in the lighting business that's been it's been going on for, I would say, sort of emerged with the LED at the tail end of this whole LED boom, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's been gaining steam. And when a crisis hits, you step back and you reassess the argument. My question to you, Jon, is in a time of crisis, lighting aside, whether or not it's lighting or something else, why is having manufacturing in the U.S. important?
Well, we think that this is our key reason for existence. I think that there's so much product out there now coming from China and Mexico that, where we see our reason for being is being able to react quickly, being able to be fairly flexible. One of our big mottos is factory at your fingertips. We want to be our customer's factory, that if they're in a sales meeting, they know they have a nice factory that has, big enough resources to make things happen and can do it in a timely fashion. And so, there's a lot of great factories that are in Mexico or in China. There's becoming fewer and fewer in the U.S. that are dynamic and flexible and able to, really develop a new product quickly or configure a new product and get it to the market quickly. So we think, that's really our reason for being in this time when there's definitely an overabundance of product and suppliers.
It's interesting about, I had a conversation with another U.S. manufacturer a couple months ago at the NAED convention, and we were talking about how manufacturing businesses create far more skilled employees than distribution businesses do. So, for example, you guys probably have welders, tool and die makers, all sorts of different manners of skill in your factory, and that those skills are actually essential to a country, but it becomes apparent in a time of crisis. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think it's interesting because it's been hard to find as many skilled people as we've needed over the years because there's been a dwindling of talent in that area. And so, one of the positive things that could come out of this is we'll be able to find more skilled people. We certainly have trained our share of skilled people, but that's our focus, is developing a factory with skilled people that can react quickly to our customers and develop, what we think is the right product for the right customer for the right application.
And, right now, a lot of people listening to this, like in the past, people would shun trades work. What did you call it, Greg? What was the name that they called it? People that go into trades, that's where they end up or something like that. What was that?
I don't know if I recall.
We're having a conversation that men that don't do well in university end up in the trades or something like that. And it was kind of there was like a name for it. You had given it. And one of the things where manufacturing jobs, if you work for an essential manufacturer, you still have your job. And if you're in an essential trade, if you're a tradesman, a power worker or something like that, you're still working today. And the fact is that we need strong trades and strong factories and strong farmers. What can you grow? What can you build? What can you make? That's the strength of your society. Really, it is. And it's not so much what you can distribute.
Right. And again, it's nice for those people, especially as we come into a period where there could be, sizable unemployment. The people with these skills are going to continue to be sought after and important.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter so much, Greg, whether or not you know how to, manipulate the stock market. Or,
right.
Or to, whatever scheme you're coming up with. When it comes down to the brass tacks, what can you make? What can you grow? What can you build is really what matters.
That's right. Yeah. Now, through this process, have you guys evaluated, and are you going to evaluate potentially changing your supply chain because of this?
Well, again, our supply chain has again been one that will work well because of the U.S. supply chain. We definitely have some China suppliers. They seem to be back up and working. We have started before trying to see if we could find some other sources. It's hard right now because the infrastructure in China is so good for lighting that we haven't been as successful moving away from some of that. But again, very few of our interior products do we rely on China for anything but some of our LED components from our vendors that make most of it in Mexico. They do get some components from China, but we haven't seen a big issue with that so far.
How have you guys altered your production schedule or your shifts that you have? Have you extended it out, cut people back, changed it
Well,
up?
we've gone to split shifts, so we're starting now at 4 a.m, and we have a shift that goes to 11:30, and then another shift that goes from 12:30 to 8, and we clean in between. So again, in terms of hours, we're working almost as many hours, but it's just dividing up our really skilled management between those two shifts has been a challenge, and one that every day we're getting better and better. So we're not yet seeing that we're making the same amount of fixtures per day. We normally average between 3,000 and 4,000 fixtures a day, and we're probably at about 75% of that. And hopefully, as time goes on, we'll get closer to 100%.
Is there demand for those level of fixtures in the market right now?
Right now, there is. We still have, some of it is demand prior to, when COVID really hit. So we're still finishing up jobs that we've had. We've definitely seen a decline in the incoming business, but we do see that there are pockets of strength. We are doing some business, quick ship for hospitals and other types of healthcare. So we definitely see ourselves as an essential business and are getting some orders, that are based on essential business. But we do believe that, in the short term, new business is going to start to go down.
We had a conversation with my managers this morning, and I said the word short term. And one of my managers looked at me and he said, I thought that was 6 weeks to 3 months. And I thought, no, dude, in a crisis, short term is 1 to 5 days. How has timeframes and management changed for you over the course of this crisis, John?
I think that's a very astute point, because it really has changed in days. We'll get a policy and make a change today that we think, that's going to be the way we run for the next couple of weeks, and tomorrow we completely change it. So, every day we come in is really a new day and a new challenge and a new way of doing business. So I think it's, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I do agree. Short term is now really daily.
Yeah. Like, it used to be like in my business, we would talk about short-term planning, 6 weeks to 3 months, medium terms, 3 months to 8 months, and then long terms, 8 months plus, right? I think now it's short terms 1 to 5 days, medium term is 6 days to 2 weeks, and long terms a month.
Yes. And we've sort of also changed our thinking a little bit to, that right now we're overall moving in a defensive mode. Where we want to focus on the health of our employees, the health of them both physically and mentally, and then, the health of the company financially. So at the moment, everything we're doing short term is focused on more defense than we're used to. And then we're beginning to think about what does the coming out of this look like, and we're using the vernacular of offense on that, and more in the planning stages. But to us, instead of thinking short term because of what you're saying, that what is short term, we're saying, we've got to be in a defensive mode today, and then look to moving out of this in an offensive mode. And maybe there'll be a period in between where we have some defense at some of our divisions and some offense.
Well, what's interesting about what you just said there. Okay, you talked about the health of your employees. You talked about this sort of stuff. Let's talk a little turkey, right? How long can you survive under your current, what it comes down to is at some point, here's what's interesting to me. I'm going to preface this first. It's interesting how there seems to be an emerging debate about the value of business owners, like people who actually employ people. You understand what I'm talking about here? Like how valuable that is for a society. Let me ask it this way. What is your best case scenario for that defensive, offensive position in terms of a timeline? Like in terms of if the best thing, realistic, knowing what's going on, what's the best case scenario for Saylite?
Again, I've had the advantage of listening to several of your podcasts, which I've enjoyed. And if you listen to those podcasts, you hear anywhere from the end of April to the end of November. And so, that's really, I come a little bit more from, I want to focus on the things I can control. And that's why we've sort of have changed the way we're thinking about it to be, let's figure out what our defense strategy is. And maybe that strategy is going to last between now and May 1st, or now and July 1st, or now and August 1st. And then let's make sure we're ready for offense when the time comes. I can't tell you, that I know any better than your other guests do, or that the TV pundits do, what it looks like. But, what we want to do is make sure we're healthy financially if it drags out, and make sure that we're ready for the opportunity that we think is going to exist when we come out of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point on the defensive side, but I'm also seeing as it's a little slow for most people, your production's down some, that you might have time for some offensive planning and thinking ahead and looking at what is currently inefficiencies in your business. I'm noticing some things where I'm like, well, we could do this. And if we were full go, it would have taken longer to get to that point. So I think if we can look at some positives out of it, and maybe you can share too, have you found any efficiencies that now you can improve on?
Well, again, the offense that we're thinking about is, we believe when we come out of this that, because we're not a huge company, we believe we can take market share regardless of what the size of the market is at that time. If the pie has shrunk a little bit, we could still be successful because we're not that big a piece of the pie at the moment. And so what we're trying to do is say, we think national retail, that was a big part of our business, and that slowed really fast. We think that's going to be a slower piece to come back. But we think things like multifamily, which we do a lot of, we think we do some OEM business for paint manufacturers and explosion-proof fixtures. We do a lot of retrofit. We believe that there are going to be pockets of opportunities, and that if we spend this time, get our engineering crew in order, doing the things that you talked about with skilled labor and fabrication, then, if we're as flexible as we can be, we think that we'll come out of this well. And what we're trying to do now is look for people that we can hire or train to help us in those different segments. My dad, we've been in business 55 years. And my dad really taught me that, the best way to be successful for 55 years is sort of follow the market and read the market. And he did a great job of being diversified within the same industry. We have lighting showroom business, we have residential business, we have industrial business, we have retrofit business. And, what we see coming out is that there's going to be, some strength in some of those markets before others. And what we're trying to do now is make sure we're positioned to find which areas are strong early and take advantage of that.
You like boxing or MMA?
I don't watch too much of it, no.
No? I was in the shower this morning. I love mixed martial arts and boxing. Always have. And I'm not really a big football guy, but hey, some teams score a lot of touchdowns on defense, actually. Some teams score a lot more than others on defense. Mm-hmm. Some teams score more shorthanded goals than others, right? There's just something about some teams that they can perform when they're actually with their backs to the wall. But to me, I thought about it, and I was in the shower this morning. I was washing whatever hair I had left, and it felt to me like round 2 of a grind out, right? And some people are going to get knocked out, man. Yep. Some guys are going to go down. But I think there's a toughness aspect to this that we're going to see emerge where, not just savviness, not just management, but pure grit and toughness. And the people that can last the 12 rounds are going to emerge. I think it's going to be a 12-round brawl. And, I think toughness is going to, how tough are you? Can you, are you, I think that's going to emerge. And then the people that can get through this are going to emerge as champions in this business.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent analogy. And it really becomes, how tough are your employees? And, there has been a little bit of culture of entitlement, that we've seen with employees. And so I think, the people that succeed are the ones that are going to get their hands dirty, really get into it, and make things happen. And that's what we're, when we talk about having the health mental side of the business, we're doing a lot talking with our people about this, that this is a change of game. And that, if we're doing the same thing we did yesterday, even the same thing we did in the 2008 recession or prior recessions, that's probably not the right thing. We've got to really change our game. And at the moment, our feeling is, we've got to play a little more defense and protect ourselves and make sure that we're there for the 10 rounds. And when the final rounds are that we need to have the strength to come out of it, we're ready.
Jon Sayah, thank you for being a guest on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks, Sean.
Our pleasure. Folks, if you listened to this and you liked it, hey, go to social media, join Nailed if you're a lighting distributor. That's probably the best thing they should do right now. Hey, Greg?
All the time, every day.
Go to NAILD.ignore. You know why? Because there's some real tough SOBs in that association. Trust me, I know. So go to NAILD.org. Thanks to Saylite. Check them out on the web. Bye for now.